So hello and welcome to the Maths Guide, and today we're going to be talking about formulae and substitution. So formulae is just the plural of formula, or you can say formulas if you like. So we're going to be looking at this shape here. So we have this shape, but we don't have a formula for that shape. So what we do is we break it into two shapes. We break it into this rectangle and we break it into this rectangle, and we label them A and B. Now I didn't draw that.
Powering off.
I didn't draw that particularly well, but we can see that's meant to be a rectangle. Its width is 3 centimeters and its length is 12 centimeters. And the width of this is 4 centimeters and its length is 17 centimeters. So just a reminder about area. Area means we're counting up how many of these little squares fit into this shape. So we know that 12 squares fit across, and there's 3 rows of 12 squares, and then we can add them all up and find out that there's 36 squares. So however, in general, we're going to be using a formula. So the formula that we have for the area of a rectangle is the length by the width, or if you like, we can just write down LW. Okay? What we do then is we substitute. So substitution means something goes off and something else comes on. In this case, it means that the length goes off and the number 12 comes on. So there's 12 centimeters. The width goes off and 3 centimeters comes on. So I think from primary school you should be clear in your head about what area is. You should understand that you're just counting up all the squares in this shape. But today I want to talk a little bit about formulae. And we're going to be writing it out like this. So this is the formula. The area of the shape A is a rectangle. So the formula for its area is length by width. And then we substitute the values in and we calculate it. Okay, so I'm kind of talking about that in an unusual way. So let's have a look at why we're talking about formulas. Here we have a formula. For example, the area of a square is equal to the width of the square by itself. So squared means multiplied by itself. So the area of a square is the width squared. So what I want you to think about when you're thinking about formula for today, you've already practiced this lots in primary school, so we're looking at a new idea. We're going to be looking at the idea of having an input to the formula and an output from the formula. So what's the input to this formula? The input is the width, and we're using the letter W for that width in centimeters. What's the output of the formula? The output of this formula is the area of the square. So what I want you to think about here is we have an input into a formula. The input in this case is the width. And the output is the area of the square. So this is what you get with formulas. You have an input and you have an output, and that's all there is to it. So this is a simple idea. You already know what a formula is, which is why I'm using this, but I want you to think about it in terms of having an input to the formula and an output from the formula. Obviously, for the area of a rectangle, you'll have 2 inputs. For the area of a rectangle, there'll be the length and the width. But at the moment, I want to really just think about formulas that have 1 input and 1 output. So I'll try and think of different formulas that have 1 input and 1 output and give them to you. That's what we're going to be doing. But I just want you to understand that we have an input. We put that into our formula and we get an output, which is in this case, is the area of the square. Very simple idea. You have an input and you have an output to a formula. You already know how to use that. For example, the area of a rectangle, you've got the inputs length and width, and you get your output area of a rectangle. You've used this a lot. You've used it with substitution. But now I want you to think about the idea. It's a new idea. Having an input to a formula and an output for the formula. Okay, so I'm going to give you some questions that might relate to this. So have a go at them, and the best of luck.